My name is Brendon Leigh, and today I'm going to give you my honest opinion about the F1 24 game, encapsulating mainly my opinions around the handling model and the general experience I have while driving the car on track. I'm double Formula 1 sim racing world champion. I've played this game as my full-time job all the way since 2018, in fact. Over that time, I've racked up 7,838 hours of total gameplay time, what does translate to 307 days of concurrent and conclusive gameplay continuously. What's quite a lot now I think about it. So, as I say, I'm going to be focusing on the gameplay mechanics and when the car is on track today, and I'm not really going to talk too much about the career mode and a little bit about the AI as well. Quite simply, that's not my niche. My niche is competitive gameplay, and I think it'll be much better, fairer, and more balanced of a video that if someone who's primarily focusing to the career mode and general the content side of the game will be talking about that in their sort of overview of the game, whereas I'll stick to what I know better, to be honest, and that will be doing the competitive gameplay and the handling model. So with all that being said, I'm going to kick it off and get into my overview of the F1 24 game, and this is probably quite a controversial opinion, but I don't think the F1 game needs to be a simulator. I don't think it's targeting to be a simulator, and I think this brings a lot of confusion to a lot of people when they're watching and they're trying to buy the game, and especially around the competitive environment of the game. Because for me personally, yes, I would love for the F1 game to be a simulator. I would absolutely adore it, to be honest, to be like an iRacing and a Assetto Corsa, an R Factor. That would be fantastic. But that's probably 5% of the buyers of the game, the players of the game, that would even take the game to its full simulator ability in that, or capacity maybe is a better word, in that realm. And probably another 5% would enjoy it, but probably the primarily and the majority of the audience would not enjoy it, because we also have to accommodate for the biggest audience possible, and probably most of the audience is very casual game players who are just looking to have fun and drive the career mode on a Friday night when they come home from work, to be honest. And we have to, and I have to at least, respect that, of course, that this game is a business, it's people's jobs, and ultimately jobs need to make a profit to be sustainable and continue making money for their business and their family. So with that being said, of course I would love for the game to be a full simulator, but I also do fully accept that for the business model of the game, at least with my limited knowledge and understanding of, let's say, the business side of the industry, it is probably more profitable and better to be a simcade game like it always has been targeted to be. I believe that some people get confused and think that the game wants to be a simulator. At least in my opinion, the game doesn't want to be a simulator. I think the game wants to generate a fun and intuitive and a satisfying gameplay experience for people at home to enjoy the game. And that's where I understand, and that's where I believe from my outside perspective that the developers want this game to be on a driving experience. Is fun, satisfying, enjoying for everyone to be playing it. With that being said, I do personally believe that the handling model is off on this year's game, and I do believe that they can fix it though. I actually have a very strong confidence that the handling model can be fixed going forward, and to make what might not be the most realistic handling model in the world, but I do believe it can be quite an enjoyable handling model overall. And I believe at the moment we have too much grip in the car. We're multiple seconds lap faster. Prime example, I can catch the car right now on the screen, on the gameplay, and just do ridiculous slides and able to catch the car very, very easily. What of course is not enjoyable, to be honest. I think part of the enjoyment of driving racing games is being completely on the edge of adhesion and being able to catch the car in the moments that you thought you couldn't. And with F1 24, there's such an ability to catch the car from pretty much every angle that it makes it unsatisfying and unrewarding when you do catch the car. But going back to my point, I believe that there's too much grip in the game right now, and I think if we reduce the times by another 3-4 seconds per track, maybe 5, I believe that'll make it actually a lot better. So I think if you've been watching my live streams quite a lot on Kick and Twitch and YouTube even, I've been live streaming on, I've been doing a lot of My Team Career Mode, and in My Team Career Mode, my car is the slowest out of everyone by a decent majority as well, decent gap, but it's the slowest. And my car is about 3 seconds slower than maybe 2, compared to like the top cars like the Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, blah blah blah. And it actually makes the most enjoyable gameplay I've had in F1 24, by my car being naturally less grippy and less fast, to be honest. It's not so much at the overbearing grip limit and the grip level that I've been experiencing in the F1 game, especially in time trial mode, that it actually makes it really fun, intuitive, and enjoyable to drive. I was driving Singapore yesterday on my career mode race, and honestly, we all know that Singapore has massive tyre deg and has massive tyre drop-off. And I was driving the mediums, and just before the tyres had their drop-off, and even after the tyres had their drop-off, the car was moving, it was sliding, it was doing what I would correctly assume to be doing its own thing, and like moving around underneath me. And you can see right now, as I'm coming towards the end of this hard stint here in Canada, riding on board for the full lap, the car is better to drive when there's less grip. As soon as you start taking multiple seconds of lap time out of the car by a grip limitation such as worn tyres, it actually becomes so much more fun to drive. I'm not going to call it realistic, I'm not going to call it like a simulator, but at least it's enjoyable to drive, and this is some of my most enjoyable experience on the F1 24 game, by having the car being less gripped up and having the less ability just to throw the car flat out through every sequence of corners, as it is on time trial at the moment. So, with that being said, yes, I do believe that the game has a big scope to improve on, and I do believe that the handling model in F1 24 has massive potential to improve in terms of enjoyment. Again, I cannot criticize, and I cannot criticize the wrong word, I cannot emphasize, there we go, emphasize is the correct word, I cannot emphasize enough that I don't think they're looking to make a simulator. As much, that's probably a controversial opinion, and as much as people are like in the comments going, oh yeah, but we want a simulator, I would love a simulator as well, don't get me wrong, but I don't believe that's their target audience. But yeah, so if I could do a wish list right now, if I could do a wish list, if I can do something to make the game better, I would instantly just take 3 seconds of grip out of the car in the dry conditions at least. I would not know how it translates to the wet, but in the dry conditions, I would take 3 seconds of lap time away from the car, and instantly this will make it funner and more realistic and more in tune to drive, with what I would expect the realistic cars to be doing their lap times with. And it would stop certain corners like Maggers and Beckett's and Silverstone just being so easily flat out. So that would be my number one wish, is to be having the cars go 3 seconds a lap slower, 3, 4, maybe 5 on extreme situation. And I believe that would be a big first step to naturally bring the lap times more in tune, and to be making the handling more rewarding to drive. And I think that's a big first step. Second of all, at the moment there's a lot of friction on the tyre, and when you slide the rear tyre you get so much friction, what slows the car down tremendously, to the point that it's even difficult to spin the car if you get wheel spin. You probably noticed it by having a lot of, if you're watching a lot of top F1 esports drivers, maybe you noticed it when you're driving yourself, that a lot of us are able to get the car sideways, and then the RPM actually drops on the car because there's so much friction, or at least how I understand it to be, because I'm not a developer, but there's so much friction on the rear tyres, on the tyres in general, that as soon as the car gets sideways, instead of the tyres being lit up and having more friction, oh yeah, this is a funny moment by the way, I tried to do a 360 out the pit lane and it just said nope, you're going back to the racetrack. But yeah, there's so much friction on the rear tyre that when you slide it, even by a degree of like 5 degrees on the rear tyre slip, the friction overpowers the engine and then makes it feel like a traction control, to be honest. And it's really difficult to enjoy the moment of trying to be on the edge of adhesion, grip and power and limit when it feels like there's a traction control. And I'm not an expert on tyres, I'm not an expert on game physics, but I've never seen it before in gaming in general for racing games, where traction control is disabled, but it allows an opportunity for the grip to be reduced, or the grip to be made more powerful by having friction, let's say. So yeah, this is my 2 wishes really with this game. Also to make the AI actually fight you on the straight, as I could show you right now. They just don't fight you on the straight. Would be great, but I'm not going to go too much into that detail because it's not for me to say, to be honest. And finally getting my 360 across the line. But yeah, this is my general opinion of F1. I think first of all we need to take like 3, 4, 5 seconds of lap time out of the car, make it so we're driving the car more, we're more on the edge of adhesion, we're more on the limit of the tyre, and that will naturally make us feel more rewarded, much more enjoyment from driving the game instantly. Second of all, try and what I perceive to be having too much friction on the rear compounder tyre. When you're sliding the car by a very small amount, 5-10 degrees on the rear slip angle, seems to be slowing the car down rather than making wheel spin, and it becomes really difficult to push the car and enjoy the car in those moments. So
everyone who's joined us,
yes, with all that being said, this is my honest opinion about what we can do with 2 easy steps to make this handling model more enjoyable straight away, to be more fun straight away. So yeah, I really see so much toxicity, to be honest, and I understand it completely. I understand why there is so much there's so much negativity, hatred, and just complete dramatic nature on social media. I really understand it, and I want the best for the game as well. I want the best for my own player experience as well. But I want to do this video because I do believe there is potential in the game, and I do believe that we can work in a productive way to actually get change done positively in the game. By bombarding massive amounts of negativity and hatred and just complete criticism with unnecessary and unfiltered ability to show improvement, we won't get there. I think the best way to improve from right now is to just continue to show our points, continue to have our opinions and show those opinions to Codemasters, EA and everyone involved, but ultimately to have a very conclusive, smart and dynamic approach to it. And I do believe that we can make this game fun, enjoyable from a driving perspective. It might take some time, but I do actually believe a lot. I do believe that this is a great opportunity for the game, and I do believe that it can come back to be a fun game. At least that's my opinion. I'm a very optimistic person naturally anyway, so yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. But I've been Brendon Leigh, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Grazie, ciao ciao, bye bye.